Hey there everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So, I saw Blue Beetle the other night, and I had such a good time with it. This review will contain spoilers, so turn away if you haven't watched it yet. I was so surprised by how much I loved this. Okay, so this movie felt like a fun and charming film from the early to mid-noughties in the best possible way. Akin to something like X-Men or the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. The film was interesting tonally. Like I said, it had all the fun of a cheesy noughties flick. There were times throughout where it had a darker edge, and they executed them pretty well. I mean, Victoria Cord obliterates the Reyes household. You compare that to weed jokes and a grandmother carrying and using a machine gun. It sounds like it should be a jarring, confused mess, but it balances it exceptionally well. It's such a fun watch. So, the movie's plot was a bog-standard superhero origin story, but that's all it needed to be, really. It hit every beat you would expect to in the underdog story. A seemingly ordinary person is gifted exceptional powers. The villain wants the abilities and will stop at nothing to destroy the hero. The protagonist finds the strength inside after chatting to a dead relative and is able to defeat the evil. Which is fine, this is an origin after all. The main staple is the characters and the theme of family values, which is carried out so well here. I know this isn't the only DC film to attempt family, but unlike Shazam, I think the family members are much more distinct and fleshed out, which makes rooting for them a breeze, especially given all their adversity. I think it's the great setup of these characters which made the death of his father all the more saddening, especially as the plot had already alluded to a heart attack in the past. Jaime Reyes is my new favourite DC superhero, and the actor who played him did such a good job. As a character, he is just so damn rootable, as is his entire family, as I just said. It's clear he feels guilt and such a great burden for being away from his family for so long and hearing of their struggles. I think having him search for a way to better his family's lives lead to the Scarab was definitely the right way to push the plot and him as a character forward. Even once he has established himself as the hero, he falls trying to defend a member of his family, and this itself cleverly subverts some tropes. The first being the fact the person he was trying to save was his father, who was suffering a heart attack, rather than the girl that he likes. And secondly, the fact that his family were attempting to save him instead, which led to the final conflict. There was a lot of emotionally heavy scenes that Xolo pulls off perfectly. Speaking of great jobs, Susan Sarandon did an amazing job as the villain. I haven't hated a character in so long. Unlike most typical heavy-hitting bad guys associated with other DC properties, Victoria Cord is a conniving, manipulative businesswoman whose sole reason for existing is to push her OMAC project, or the one-man army corps to police Palmyra City, the way any good dictator would. I think having her interact with her niece so early on did a good job highlighting the kind of woman she is, and further tie the Cord family into the DC universe. I think the coldness in Sarandon's portrayal pushes the hatred I feel for her character even further. She's willing to execute anyone who gets in her path, and is clearly lying to her servant Carapax. She is one of my favourite villains to come out of any DC property. Now, I have seen a bit of controversy online that the lead in the film wasn't the previous Blue Beetle Ted Cord, but I like what they did with his character here. He exists within the movie as the previous owner of the Scarab, only he could never get it to connect with him. His daughter Jenny takes Jaime to his lair, where it is revealed he built weaponry and suits meant to mimic the power of the Scarab, and was once a vigilante within the city. Now, the cutscene reveals his existence, and I'm really interested to see what a follow-up will do, assuming Gunn greenlits it as part of the new DCU. Each of the characters played their roles well, and it very much felt like it could be a high-budget introduction to an Arrowverse show, as I saw people discuss, and I mean that as a compliment. Given the added details at the end, this very easily could have been the first part to, say, a limited Arrowverse series. And I did find out recently that Blue Beetle was originally going to appear in Arrow instead of the Atom, which would have been interesting. No movie has surprised me more in a long time. I recommend you go see it. If you like what you saw, can you please hit that like button and subscribe? It will help my channel continue to grow. Stay close as I try to post new content as often as possible.